I think I just broke my thumb. And of course, I finished the round.
She did it again! She did it!
3 times, Terry.
She did that again! Can you believe that?
At 12, she won the New Mexico Women's Amateur, and later, she twice won the U.S. Girls Amateur. In 1975, she finished second in the U.S. Women's Open, and in '76, Nancy won almost every amateur event there was to win.
One bunker shot is all it takes to turn a nobody into a major champion.
Did she get it there? So they hit a scooter, it might be good. Are you kidding me?
One 75-foot putt to end 4 years of silence.
When it actually went in, it was you can see it in my face. It was just like, holy cow, where did it go? Did it just do that? Did it just actually go in the hole?
One barefoot swing from a river to spark an entire nation's obsession with golf.
She's got it out all right. Will it get down?
All right. Rolls from the other side. Rolls right up to the feet of Buzz Taylor out there.
See, in women's golf, the craziest wins don't come from the favorites. They come from the players nobody saw coming. The ones who had no business being there until suddenly they were holding the trophy. Today, we're diving into the victories that made 0 sense, the comebacks that broke probability, the moments where golf looked at the script, laughed, and did whatever it wanted. These are the craziest wins in women's golf history.
Are you kidding me? Look at this.
Let's start with a name that sounds like a punchline but became a prophecy. Birdie Kim. Yeah, her actual name. She changed it from Ju Yoon because there were too many Kims on tour and she wanted to stand out. Mission accomplished. 2005 U.S. Women's Open, Cherry Hills Country Club, the biggest stage in women's golf. And Birdie Kim, she was nobody, literally nobody. Her rookie season the year before, she made 3 cuts in 20 events. 3. She almost lost her tour card entirely and had to grind through Q School just to keep playing. Coming into Cherry Hills, her goal wasn't to win. She said it herself. I just try to make top 10. But here's where golf gets weird. Final round, 72nd hole. Kim's ball is in a greenside bunker about 45 feet from the pin. She can't even see the flagstick from where she's standing. She's bouncing up and down trying to get a view. Meanwhile, 17-year-old Morgan Pressel is standing in the fairway, tied for the lead, watching. If Pressel wins, she becomes the youngest major champion in history. The cameras are on her. The story is written. And then Birdie Kim swings. The ball pops out, lands softly, starts rolling, and the crowd noise builds, and it disappears into the hole. For Birdie to win the U.S. Women's Open, Kim's arms shoot up. She's peering out of the bunker in total shock. Pressel is standing there, frozen, needing to hold her chip just to force a playoff. She doesn't. Birdie Kim wins by 2, her first LPGA victory at a major with a bunker hole out on the final hole. And here's the part that makes this even crazier. She never won again. Not once. In her entire career, one moment, one swing, one name that finally made sense.
You can do this. You've done this many times before.
One of the most unlikely champions in the history of the U.S. Women's Open. A birdie wins it. A storybook finish to a story.
If Birdie Kim's win was improbable, Hillary Lunk's was borderline illegal by the laws of sports logic. 2003 U.S. Women's Open, Pumpkin Ridge, Oregon. Lunka wasn't even supposed to be there. She had to go through local qualifying, then sectional qualifying. Shot 80 in the first round of sectionals, 80, and still somehow squeaked through. Her career stats at the time, 0 top 10 finishes on the LPGA Tour. 0, not 1. Her prize money entering the week, about $69,000 total. Her husband Tyler was caddying for her because, well, they couldn't exactly afford anyone else. And Annika Sorenstam, the greatest player on the planet, was in the field, coming off a 67 in the third round, looking to add another major to her collection. So naturally, Hillary Lunk won. She led going into Sunday, held it together while everyone expected her to collapse, and found herself in an 18-hole playoff against Angela Stanford and Kelly Robbins. Sorenstam bogeyed the final hole and missed the playoff by one shot. In the playoff, Lunke went 4, up early, then watched Stanford claw back. They came to the 18th hole tied. Stanford drains a 24-footer for birdie. The crowd erupts. And Lunke, she stares down a 15-footer to win the U.S. Women's Open. She rolls it in. First qualifier ever to win the U.S. Women's Open. First LPGA victory of her career. Prize money of $560,000, 8 times more than her entire career earnings before that week. She raised her arm, tears streaming down her face, and became a champion. And just like Birdie Kim, she never won again. Not a single LPGA event. Her dad had told her for years that if she ever won on tour, it would be at the U.S. Women's Open. He was right. It just happened to also be her last win ever. 1 week of magic. Then back to reality.
저도 골프를 26년 쳤지만 한 번도 그런 샷을 해본 적이 없어요.
Now let's talk about a win that didn't just change one career, it changed an entire country. Black Wolf Run, Wisconsin. Se-Ri Pak is a 20-year-old rookie from South Korea who barely speaks English. She's already won her first major, the LPGA Championship, 7 weeks earlier. But this was about to become something much bigger. After 72 holes, Pak is tied with amateur Jenny Chua Siriporn, both 20 years old, both at 6 over on a brutally tough course. They go to an 18-hole playoff, and after those 18 holes, still tied, so they keep going. Sudden death. On the 18th hole of the playoff, the 90th hole of the tournament, Pak's drive goes left, way left, into the rough right next to a water hazard. Now, here's the insane part. The ball didn't go in the water. It stopped on a tiny tuft of grass, inches from the penalty area. Pak has a choice. Take a drop and accept a penalty stroke, or try to hit it from where it lies. She takes off her shoes, takes off her socks, and wades into the river. Standing in ankle-deep water, she takes a swing with her sand wedge and somehow gets the ball across the fairway and back into play. The crowd loses it. Back in Korea, millions are watching on TV at 3 a.m. They lose it too. She saves par. Chua Siriporn misses her par putt. They move to another hole. On the 20th hole, the 92nd of the entire tournament, Pak finally buries an 18-footer for birdie and wins. And that barefoot shot from the water. It became the most iconic image in Korean golf history. Before that week, there were 3 Koreans total in the U.S. Women's Open field. By 2012, 35. Today, there are more than 40 Koreans on the LPGA Tour. One 10-year-old girl watching that broadcast was Inbi Park. She decided right then she wanted to play golf. She now has 7 major championships. Se-Ri Pak didn't just win a tournament, she created a movement.
She did it again! She did it!
3 times, Terry.
She did that again! Can you believe that?
If you think chipping in once to win is crazy, try doing it 3 times in the same round. 2020 ANA Inspiration, Mission Hills, the tournament that ends with winners jumping into Poppy's Pond. Nelly Korda, world number 3, future superstar, has controlled this thing all week. She's got a comfortable lead going into the back 9 on Sunday. Brooke Henderson is lurking. Miriam Lee? She's somewhere back there. Nobody's really paying attention to her. And then the chaos begins. Hole 6. Lee chips in for birdie. Okay, nice shot. Hole 16. Lee's pitch and run from 90 feet drops for another birdie. Wait, what? She's suddenly only 2 back with 2 holes to play. Then she bogeys 17. Now she's 2 back with 1 hole left. It's over, right? Lee's second shot on 18 flies over the green bounces off a temporary blue wall that the tournament put up because there were no fans due to COVID and stops in the rough. She's got a downhill chip to a tucked pin. If she makes birdie, she's 1 back. Not enough to win. So she holes it. For eagle. Lee's jaw drops. She's staring at the hole like it personally betrayed the laws of physics. Korda now needs to birdie 18 to win outright. She doesn't. Henderson makes birdie to join the playoff. 3 players, 1 hole, winner takes all. In the playoff, Lee hits her approach just over the green, again chips to 5 feet, and makes the birdie putt to win. 3 chip-ins on the back 9, first win in 3 years, a major championship. She said afterward, "Honestly, I can't really believe it right now. I feel like I must be a little crazy for having won this." Yeah, you and everyone watching.
We went in, it was you can see it in my face. It was just like, holy cow, where did it go? Did it just do that? Did it just actually go in the hole?
Speaking of putts that shouldn't exist, let's talk about Paula Creamer's 75-footer, 2014 HSBC Women's Champions. Singapore, one of the strongest fields outside the majors. Creamer, the Pink Panther, the 2010 U.S. Women's Open champion, hasn't won in almost 4 years. 4 years, she's been struggling with confidence, equipment changes, the whole spiral. She gets into a playoff against Azahara Munoz after Carrie Webb chokes away a 3-shot lead down the stretch. Second playoff hole, par 5. Creamer's ball is on the green, but it's 75 feet from the hole. 75 feet. That's not a putt, that's a commute. The announcers are literally saying it would be a miracle if it goes in. She just needs to 2-putt and keep the playoff going. She takes her stance, hits it. The ball starts curling across the green, riding the slope, picking up speed, and it disappears into the hole. Eagle. Creamer runs across the green, falls to her knees, and puts her head on the grass, laughing, pounding the turf, completely overwhelmed. "I could stand there all day long and put that, and I don't think get it within 6-7 feet, she said afterward. 4 years of drought ended with one impossible putt.
"I think I just broke my thumb. And of course, I finished the round, barely holding on to anything. And then right after that, we went and saw all these different, hand specialists and ended up having surgery the 3rd week. It was one of those things where it was way worse than what we all thought it was. Total reconstruction of my thumb.
But here's the thing. That wasn't even Paula Creamer's craziest win. 2010 U.S. Women's Open, Oakmont Country Club, one of the hardest courses in America. 4 months before this tournament, Creamer was lying in a hospital bed after surgery on her left thumb. The ligaments were torn. She wasn't sure she'd ever play golf again at the highest level. The week before the U.S. Open, she missed the cut, drove to Oakmont early to practice, and couldn't hit a 7-iron straight, literally shanking everything. Her dad looked at her and said, "Bun, this is it. This is your time. Go out there and show them the fighter you are inside." She shot 75 in the first round, climbed into a share of the lead by Saturday, led by 3 going into Sunday, and on the final hole, she finally let herself look at the leaderboard for the first time all week. One name in red, hers. Leading by 4, she tapped in a 4-footer for par and became a major champion. At 23 years old, 4 months after wondering if her career was over. When you practice when you're younger, you say it in your head. "I have a 4-footer to win the U.S. Open." And then I literally had one, she said. Sometimes the craziest wins aren't about miracle shots. They're about surviving everything that tried to stop you from being there.
And it just kind of slipped by on the left side. And then I stood there over, the last putt, and so many thoughts went through my head. Biggest thought was, what a great round. Don't feel the pressure. Just, do what you've done a million times, roll in a 3 or 4-footer. But then I thought, if this goes in, this is history.
Now let's talk about a win so dominant, it broke a record that had never been touched. Standard Register Ping. Phoenix. Annika Sorenstam is already the best player in the world, but on this day, she did something nobody had done before. She shot 59, the first woman in LPGA history to break 60, 13 birdies, no bogeys. A round so clean, it felt like a video game glitch. By the turn, she was 8 under for the day. The scoreboard operators weren't even ready for what was happening. People in the clubhouse were crowding around TVs trying to understand what they were watching. On the 18th hole, she needed a birdie for 59. Her approach landed 12 feet from the pin. She rolled it in. And Annika being Annika, her celebration was basically a polite nod, like she'd made a routine par. She went on to win the tournament by 8 shots. 8. "I don't think I'll ever shoot 59 again," she said afterward. She was right. Nobody else on the LPGA has done it since.
She won the New Mexico Women's Amateur, and later, she twice won the U.S. Girls Amateur. In 1975, she finished second in the U.S. Women's Open, And in '76, Nancy won almost every amateur event there was to win.
And finally, let's talk about a rookie season so ridiculous it still hasn't been matched. Nancy Lopez is 21 years old, just starting her first full year on the LPGA Tour. She wins her second event of the season. Okay, nice. Then she wins her third, and her fourth, and her fifth. 5 consecutive victories. As a rookie, 3 of them came down to the final hole. 1 went to a sudden death playoff. She was draining pressure putts like she'd been doing it for decades. By the end of the year, she had won 9 tournaments total, including a major, the LPGA Championship, by 6 shots. The LPGA had never seen anything like it. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the New York Times, everywhere. People who had never watched women's golf were tuning in just to see what Nancy Lopez would do next. That 5-win streak, only 2 players have ever matched it. Annika Sorenstam in 2004 to 2005, and Mickey Wright back in the 60s. And Lopez did it in her first full season, with the entire sports world watching. Some wins are crazy because they shouldn't have happened. Nancy Lopez's 1978 was crazy because it made everyone realize the future of women's golf had arrived, and she was only 21. So there you have it. 8 wins that rewrote what we thought was possible in women's golf. Bunker holeouts from players who never won again. Qualifiers beating the best player in the world. Barefoot shots from rivers that launched entire nations into the sport. That's the beauty of golf. It doesn't care about your ranking, your resume, or your expectations. One swing can change everything. Birdie Kim knew that. Hillary Lunka knew that. Sari Peck knew that standing in ankle-deep water with millions watching back home. The craziest wins don't always go to the best players. They go to the ones who refuse to believe the moment is too big for them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. We've got plenty more stories where golf completely lost its mind. And as always, thank you for watching.